So we are now here today with Sacha Vignieri from Science, and we are raising to her some questions. So Sacha, thank you very much to be here in San Michele. So first question is, the impact factor system, is this still the most valuable manner to evaluate scientific achievements?
I think impact factor can be helpful, but I don't think it's necessarily the best way to evaluate science. This is simply because different fields have higher rates of citations. So fields like immunology or molecular biology will naturally get more citations because there are more workers. So I think one way would be to try to gauge impact factor based on a relevant scale for a particular field. I think that could be an improvement for making impact factor a better assessment of science across fields.
Thank you very much. Then there is something changing in the scenario. So what is your opinion about the peer review versus open sources journal?
So I think open source can be very valuable because it gets work out to many people. But I think there is still a need for peer review because with so much access to information, people who are not necessarily trained in science can have access to many different results, and to try to evaluate those results themselves can be difficult. So peer review offers the value of assessing the science as well as giving it some relative scale. So I think open source with review is a worthwhile approach to eventually reach towards, but I think we should be careful about doing away with peer review altogether.
Is it in particular, in any case, to the point of plagiarism and precision, as you told, because if many information available to anyone, maybe probably the precision is quite lower. So that could be really relevant for IT sciences and, for example, sagas like neutrino and like speed lights. So what is your opinion about the point of plagiarism and precision in presenting scientific achievement?
Well, clearly, I think plagiarism is a very important thing to be concerned about, and precision or rigor support of your results is very important. I think the neutrino situation was difficult because the authors were trying to get input, and that's why they released their results, but it provided the media with confusing information. So I think it's very important to make sure that results are as rigorous and precise as possible. And plagiarism is always something we should be aware of, and certainly things like fraud, scientific fraud, are big problems we should be paying attention to.
Okay, thank you very much. The last question is just asking you in few words if you can give us some tips for get published in a journal like Science.
Yeah. So the main two words, let's say 3 words, 4, focus on the big picture. So I think the most important thing you can do to determine whether your work is appropriate at this point for a journal like Science is to determine whether or not the work is interesting to a broad scientific audience. Are you focusing on a larger question rather than just the details of your particular field? And of course, rigor is always important, but pulling away from the very focused nature of your work and instead focusing on the larger impact is one of the key components.
So thank you very much, Sacha Vignieri, and we hope to be presenting some of your articles in the journal very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.